Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. Today we're in our Ka-50 Blackshark and we're looking at auto hover. So to employ a lot of the weapons in the Ka-50 we need to be able to hover and hover properly. So we've got a special system for this. So today we're going to show you how to work it. But it allows us a lot of functionality, not just to be able to hover in a position, but also to be able to change that hover altitude, also to be able to descend safely. We've got various things that we want to show. First of all, we're going to look at the keys we're going to be using today, as well as the normal axis controls. We're going to be using trimmer, hover on or off, what I call the auto hover button, I'll probably refer to it as, the collective brake, and the engage descent mode. What we're going to do now is take off. We're going to get some speed up, just to imagine that we were flying along and wanted to transition to a hover. We're going to show how to do that. We are not going to have flight director mode on, and we are not going to have autopilot hold on. We're going to have the basic 3 pitch, heading and bank. So let's get on with that. First of all, we've got to get ourselves in a manual hover, so that means press and hold the trimmer button. And we're going to be doing this for a while, so make it a nice comfy button that's easy to press. That's one mistake I've made right now. And a bit of back stick now, and we're just going to reduce the speed manually, try and keep the altitude roughly level by controlling our collective, and bleed off the speed. Once we're below 50 clicks per hour, we're going to get a lateral movement line show in the middle of our HUD, and that's going to help us immensely. There it is, you see it's just popped up. It's facing north at the moment, or up. That's saying we're going directly forwards. We want to reduce that line to a single dot in the middle of our aircraft symbol to show that over the ground we are doing 0 lateral movement. So it's saying that we're going forwards and left a little, so on a cyclic left, cyclic back, and this can take a little bit of practice. And as you can see, oh no, I'm going the wrong way. So cyclic right, I meant.
You can do this entire thing with altitude hold on already, and then just hold down the trimmer while you're slowing down.
Okay, I'm just showing the way that I prefer it anyway. So what I'm doing is I'm manoeuvring about, trying to get that line right into the middle. This is just how I like to do it. I could have pressed auto hover already, but I'm just want to get it right and good. So you see it's still coming, still holding trim, and letting go trim now, and the stick. Right, happy with that. Next, I'm pressing auto hover, and you'll see we've got these chaps on here saying that auto hover is on and altitude hold is on, which comes on at the same time. So everything is on here. Things to point out at this point: these autopilot modes only have 20% control of our input, i.e. our cyclic and our collective. So we have to have roughly the right amount of collective and obviously cyclic in the right position for them to be able to hold this. If I now punch the collective up really high, it wouldn't be able to hold this auto hover and this altitude. It would overcome that basically. So just one thing to mention that could be frustrating: keep everything roughly in the right position for a hover. So that is us hovered. You can see we're exactly 0 kilometers an hour above the ground, and we've got this altitude. So one thing to note to allow this mode to function correctly, our trim in terms of lateral, left and right, really wants to be bang on with this line here. You can see I'm 1 pixel off, but I'm near enough. The other thing to point out is that my stick is completely neutral. Whenever I'm moving the mouse about like this, I haven't got my hand on the stick. So the stick is actually completely neutral. It's because my trim is set slightly pitch forward. There is why it's holding there, and that's absolutely fine. The other thing to mention is wind. If there is a lot of wind on, we've got no wind on this map, so it's all nice and easy, then we're going to get some drift. Is there any way to correct for this drift, Stahl?
Not easily, no. I mean, it depends, but if it's reasonably strong wind, you're always gonna drift, of course, a little bit while on auto hover, and that's fine.
You also saw that my altitude was decreasing, creeping down ever so slightly there, because I just didn't have enough collective on the autopilot to hold. So I added a little extra collective here, and that's now holding fine. We're hovering here. Why don't we pretend we're hiding behind a hill or something, and we want to deploy our weapons against the target. But to do that, we want to pop up over this hill and then pop down again. To do that, we're going to use a function called the collective brake, which can temporarily override and or change our altitude hold setting. So what we can do is press and hold the collective brake, and then increase our collective to temporarily pop up, and then still holding the collective brake, pop down back down to 63 meters, and then release the collective brake. So I'm going to press the collective brake and hold the F key for me. I'm going to increase my collective. Up we go. Just a few meters is all we need. Okay, we're above the hill now. I'm going to employ my Vickers. Pow, pow, pow. Target's dead. Now, still holding the collective brake, I'm going to bring it down, down, down. I'm going to bring it down to about 63 or whatever it was before.
One thing to mention about this, you have to be careful since you're in a hover, do not enter VRS. You know, if you're descending too quickly, you're easily going to do that, and not a hover, it's going to be annoying to get out of that.
Roger, so you want to keep it very small movements then, keep it nice and smooth and relatively slow. Okay, happy with that there. And now I've released the elective brake, and it's now happy to sit here at its new altitude. So that was me popping up and popping down. Now I've decided, actually, I don't like this altitude. I want to be a lot higher because I want to be able to see further, okay? So press and hold collective brake, and we're going to increase the collective again. We will gain a little bit of speed when doing this, as we can see here. You know, we can't fight that. You know, by adding collective, we're introducing all kind of moments of torque and whatnot, so there will be a small movement in our hover. Okay, I'm much happy with this altitude. I can see over the horizon much better. So I'm going to level off in terms of collective just to keep it roughly level. Remember, you've got to work with this autopilot and release the collective brake. And now this is going to keep us at our new altitude of 113 meters radio. Okay, anything you want to add to the collective brake, Stahl?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of thinking about it, I would suggest just seeing it as kind of a trimmer for the collective. So it intermittently overrides autopilot modes and then just saves the new position when you need them.
Next, we're going to show descent mode. So for me, again, it's the D key. And we're going to press and hold that, and it's going to allow us to descend slowly but crucially safely. If we descend too fast, i.e. above 5 meters per second in descent, just realised this is on, then we risk getting into VRS and stalling and destroying our aircraft. So this will allow us to descend safely. It won't land us, it'll cut out before it hits the ground, won't it, Stahl, before it touches the ground?
Yeah, it's like a 2 meters or 4 meters or something like that, it'll just stop.
Roger, so let's do that.
You might have to adjust the collective slightly if it's set too high and it just can't get the required descent rate. It should be 2 meters.
Yeah, so that goes back to the ethos with we have to work with the autopilot modes here, not fight them. So we help them with a little bit of collective here and there. Right, so I'm going to press and hold D now, and it's going to do our descent. If it's struggling to descend, then I'm going to just a tickle off of the collective just to help it. At the moment, it doesn't need help. It's happily descending here at 1 meters per second, and it's going to keep on doing that until it's just above the ground, and then it'll cut out.
Yeah, it actually means your collective is slightly too high. It wants to do 2 meters a second.
Roger. I'm perfectly happy with 1 meters per second. I don't need to adjust that. I'm going to bring it down to 90. That's where I want to settle at. And let go there. And let go the D key. And let it do its thing. And it's now recentered at 90. And just other prerequisites, make sure you do not have flight director on. That is mutually exclusive. You cannot have that on. Altitude hold is on, but it will turn that automatically when you put the auto hover on.
No, it will not turn it off automatically once you remove auto hovers. You will have to do that manually.
Yeah, and that catches me all the time. So when you turn auto hover off, it will not turn this off, and remember to turn that off, otherwise it'll be a real pain in the butt and you'll be fighting the autopilot all the way home. Okay, so the only other thing I wanted to show, and again, we're not showing targeting or weapons at the moment, we're keeping exclusively navigation, is that we can change our azimuth. So if we want to change our azimuth, this can be a little bit fiddly, is we're going to press and hold the trimmer button, and then we're going to rotate using yaw or rudder, but we're also going to have to be careful not to add too much drift in terms of lateral movement. Again, our little line that comes up here will become useful. So I want to face over there, because that's where I think my point of interest might be. Press and hold trimmer. Rotate. I want to not introduce too much lateral movement, and I'm doing alright at the moment. I'm only 5 clicks per hour, and I will like the look of that guy there. Release trimmer, release stick. You can see that the autopilot hover is on, the altitude is still on, and it's now settled us perfectly back to 0. So that is how we're going to change our azimuth without any kind of auto turn or weapons employment.
Can also completely change your hovering position just by holding down the trimmer without having to reset everything. So if you just hold down the trimmer, fly some wells, and then just slow down again and get her into a hover again, go basically through the same thing of holding the trimmer until you're slow enough.
I'm going to show that now. So trimmer on, and I want to be over here this time. So over we go. So left cyclic, moving 100 meters over here. Okay, I'm going to start to level it out, use my lateral deviation line. I'm also going forward, so I want to walk back a bit. Pressing and hold trimmer, pressing and holding trimmer. I always get confused left and right on this, so about there.
Well, you want to always get away from the line, just to run away from the line.
I always do it wrong. And you see, I got the line within the kind of circle here, and then that was close enough that I could then release the trimmer and I'm hands off again. Again, I'm moving the mouse about, and the autopilot will take control and get me completely static until that goes down to 0. So that's how we can move, that's how we can rotate. Anything else you want to show in the auto hover, Star?
Don't think so, no.
Hope that helps, and see you later.